cost effective, and you also know what's going in them.
Yeah. So I guess it comes down to planning and batch baking. So if you were to do a tray bake of a cake bar, or if you want to keep it, even more healthy than that, like an oat bar that's got, slow release carbohydrates that can keep you from wanting those snacks throughout the day. And you can freeze them. I think there's pretty much everything is freezable. So if you make it in a big batch, and then you can, you can defrost it, for the week. And I guess that sometimes the reason we snack on the wrong stuff is because it's there. It's in the house. And I guess the thing that stops me from snacking, I try to be good, and don't get me wrong, I have my bad days as well, is if I've already got pre-prepared snacks ready to go, I'll reach for those rather than reaching for a bag of crisps or a chocolate or a biscuit. And I guess that's the key for me is, because, we're all at home, feels like a holiday. During a holiday, you tend to eat a lot more. So if I've got healthy snacks that are already made and pre-made and available, I'll go for those. But if they're not there, then, and I'm hungry or on that hungry spectrum, that's when you tend to fall off the wagon, don't you? I think that's when the dangerous things happen there.
I think it's having... Sorry. Go on, Robyn. Me and the kids are going through about 4 pots of hummus every couple of days, because we have hummus with everything. Like, we do, some of it is quite healthy, so they're like carrot sticks and celery sticks and things like that, bread sticks. But literally, like, I'm going for it all the time, and by the end of the day, I'm thinking I've probably had a pot of hummus to myself. It's a massive amount of calories, no matter how healthy the fat.
How healthy it is. And it's not cheap either. See, that is another thing, isn't it? That I found my shopping bills have been much more expensive, and I think it is because we're doing that one shop a week, and we're not panicking, but we're buying a lot more than we normally would on a one shop, because I would normally just grab the odd bit here and there where we need it, whereas we're now going, right, well, we don't want to run out, we want to make this shop last as long as possible, and it is costing more. And I think it is, like you say, the snacking. The husband he's a paying for it, because I keep telling him not to, but he keeps buying bags of crisps, putting them in the cupboard, and then the second he opens them, that's where I fall down, because I kind of go, oh, go on then. And it's a bit of it's because I think we're in unusual circumstances, and it's not, like, as we said, we don't actually know when the end is yet. It's almost that, if it makes you feel a bit better, then I kind of go, oh, do you know what, actually, go on, I'll have some crisps. And before you know it, there's like 2 bags of gone, and we go, oh, where's all that gone? And I think having a little one as well, like every time I give Stanley like a little biscuit, like a digestive, if he's been good and he's eaten all his lunch, I go, oh, do you know what, I've got a cup of tea, so I'll just have one of those. And I would never, ever, ever do that at work or ordinarily. Like, that would be an absolute treat, and I wouldn't even really crave it. But I think I've got into the habit, like it is a habit, or started craving sugar and sweet things again because I've got into that little habit.
Yeah. I mean, some of the snacks that I encourage, and I completely understand where I've got a weakness for fruit and nut. My husband brought a really big bar of it, and he's just like, oh my God, you need to get that out of the house. Definitely out of reach. But having, if you've got a sweet cravings, even things like sweet corn. So what I do for my little boy is I will grill the sweet corn, which can come in little chunks with a little bit of butter. You've got a sweet hit, but it's healthy, and we often roast chickpeas, in replacement of crisp, because you kind of want that savoury salt and crispy texture. And these roasted chickpeas are really low in fat and really cheap, because you can literally use the chickpeas that come in a tin. So I guess it's it's these tricks, having these things pre-prepared, so when you've got that craving, they're there.
You can go to them instead of the crisps.
A bag of crisps. Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I found? What I found during this lockdown is, so thinking about things, like I thought about baking chickpeas, because I had curried chickpeas somewhere once and they were amazing, is I've realised that I've got a really rubbish collection of tins, like cooking equipment. So if my mum, if I go to my mum's, she's got everything you could possibly imagine for cooking, with every utensil, size, tin, tray, whatever you cook with. And I think I've like about 3 pans, a tiered steamer, maybe a roasting tin. Like I've actually bought like a loaf roasting things so that Amelia could make the banana bread. I've had to buy some trays and some Tupperware, and I've realised that, you know, how people go and have like a wardrobe edit and they check through all the wardrobe. I almost need like a kitchen, like makeover. I don't feel like I've got a grown-up kitchen like equipment to make some of these things. Rubbish, my collection of pots and pans.
I think that's a great excuse to get a new kitchen.
Do you not think that's like
a couple of glasses of wine before you bring the subject up, though?
I just realised that, I suppose, because I just make the same things, that I've never really had to think about tins and different like roasting dishes, and I kind of use the same thing for a lasagna dish. I have the same pans that my kind of equipment fits the 8 staples that I do. So when I've looked at some recipes and it'll say like you need, I know, certain dishes, I haven't got them. I've got nothing with a lid on. I think I've smashed all my lids, and it's just made me realise that actually I think I need to, after this is over, invest in some decent stuff for the kitchen, because I do like cooking, and it obviously is something I've got to do to cook, because I'll at least be cooking 1 meal a day once this is all over, if not 2. Equipment.
I'm a bit like that. I can see what I've got better over the last couple of years with trying different recipes and things, but it only probably because my mum used to come round, and when she'd come round and cook with me, she'd be like puffing and puffing, and it's like, what's wrong? Like, you've not got this, you've not got that. And she don't, and to be fair, probably the stuff that I have got, most of it is stuff that I've borrowed and kept of hers. She's always like, I think you've got my, like, this specific tin or this. So, but yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I always improvise with things as well. I remember when I didn't have a juicer and I was just like trying to squeeze loads of like, wasting loads of lemons and things.
I've got a tip for you for lemons and limes. So if you roll them and you loosen the membranes, so it means more juice will come out when you squeeze them, and you could even use your hands. I mean, you know, ladies like you, into your fitness, I'm sure you've got strong biceps, so it should be no trouble at all for you. So yeah, that's a top tip. And you know, coming back to waste, I mean, what we also tend to do is when we've got a half-used lemon or lime, we freeze it, put it in the freezer. So the next time you come to make your gin and tonic, you've got a frozen lemon to put in. Which
I didn't think of that.
I do that with, especially. Oh, sorry, hang on, something's on my screen. Can't see you, anybody. Hang on. There we go. I do that, and I've done it loads more recently, because obviously with the not being able to get to the shops as much, the fruit goes off quite quickly, especially bananas. Like my 2 love bananas, but after a couple of days they can be like all brown, and they hate them. So as soon as I do the big shop and we've got all the fruit in, I separate it into little plastic, what they're called, freezable bags, and put them in the freezer, and then they're like in portions for the day. So the next day I can say to the kids, what do you fancy tomorrow? And they can pick them. So it might be like blueberries and banana cut up, but it's frozen and it's already, you just take out the bag the night before.
That's good.
I do that for smoothies as well. Like I'll put what's needed in each bag and then put it into the NutriBullet, and then it's freezing as well, so it's nice and cold.
Yeah. That's great.
So Sarah, just before we kind of sum up and everything, I know obviously the plans have been scuppered with lockdown and everything, but you're going to be running some supper clubs and things, aren't you? Do you want to tell us a little bit about that then, and how we can possibly get involved? Improving our skills.
So I plan to run supper clubs locally in Wilmslow. So I unfortunately had to cancel my first ones in April, but as soon as I'm able to, we'll restart those. And that's really, I'm passionate about Indian home food. You know, because, you know, I think there's an education piece there, because, you know, everybody's familiar with chicken tikka masala and butter chicken, you know, and all of these like restaurant type dishes, but there's so much more variety. You know, we've talked about, you know, using different vegetables and ingredients, and you know, challenging your palate. And I'm really keen to promote Indian home food, but also, you know, I was born and bred in England, but I have my Indian heritage, and I really like the idea of bringing the two together to make something uniquely British and delicious. So those are the things that I'm keen to promote. And I'll also be going off to chef school as soon as I'm able. Unfortunately, that's been put on hold as well because of COVID, because I'd like to cook to the level of a chef. So private dining is also something that I'll be offering, and perhaps more TV work. So we'll see where it goes.
How exciting! Book me in for all of those things.
Well, I need to book you in for a cooking lesson for chicken curry, Sarah.
Yes, please. Yes, please. I'm not far from one, so there we go. I'm only around the corner. Excellent.
The challenge is on.
Oh, and give us just recap on your top 3 things that you would suggest then for excelling at home cooking during isolation.
So I would say planning is key. So your meal planners, going prepared. It's because when we're not prepared, that when things tend to go awry. I'd also say batch cooking is really important, and freezing. The freezer is your friend. One pot cooking, tray baking, just so you don't feel chained. I'd also say, sorry, it's more than 3 things, Sarah.
Great.
I'd also say give yourself a break. Have a day off. Sometimes you just don't want to cook. So it's okay to get a Deliveroo or whack something in the oven, or get your other half to do it, and just put your feet up and have that time for yourself. Because I think there's so much pressure to be a domestic goddess on top of a teacher, and on top of trying to run a business from home, and on top of all of the other demands on us. And it's just give yourself a break is what I would say. So there's probably a few more things I'd add, but it's way more than 3 already. But and vary your meals so it doesn't become a chore. So use new ingredients, challenge yourself to cook something new once a week. So, and it's that new thing that will excite you, rather than thinking I'm cooking the same old meals again and this is really boring and it's a chore.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sarah. I literally now want to go to the kitchen and go, okay, what am I going to make? And I'm so hungry from talking about food. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. I loved it. And I can't wait to have a look at your recipes and try some out as well.
An absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks, Claire. Thanks, Robyn.
Thanks, Claire.